Tomorrow's Man, the predictions of the future of masculinity. After our last conversation, Sean, we were talking about the new year and planning and etc. So thinking about that in terms of masculinity and in terms of our podcast.
I'm excited because I don't think about predictions much, usually because I'm feeling too anxious about what I have right in front of me. So this is good. I need to think more in the future, do more future planning. Yeah, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
I think the very first thing that's already happening, but what I see as a positive because it's sort of amplifying in a new way, is an expanding definition of masculinity altogether. I think we've gone through the masculine machismo, I would call it, moment of the past, the patriarchy. We've gone through, we're not, and it's not done entirely. That still exists. It's like a new layer on top of it. Then there's the backlash to that. It's actually the feminist movement having its resurged enthusiasm in a totally new way from what it originally was. And part of that is sort of an anti-masculine, anti-patriarchal movement, which has basis. And now what I see and what I'm personally actually quite practically trying to drive forward in my family and in our local community and stuff is the emergent new definition of what masculinity is in a positive way. For example, controversial statement maybe for some people, I think the next wave of femininity is masculinity.
Interesting.
I don't think there's any more, there's more for the feminist movement to do, but the most feminist, pro-feminist thing you could possibly do right now is start working on masculinity.
Why?
Super simple example. That I have 2 daughters, so I think about this shit. It keeps me up at night, right? And recently, actually, there was even an incident. My one daughter is 9. She's at the age where we have to have conversations of safety and on every level. But for the first time, because of her age now, more of the conversation around safety as it pertains to assault, as it pertains to men, as it that's there. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. What's the solution? Is the solution teaching my daughter how to not get into a situation where rape is as she becomes a teenager, right? Where she has to be worried about rape or whatever else? Or is it teaching men to not be fucking rapists? There's some bad people in the world. We're never going to completely solve problems like that. But I just feel like a lot of the issues have focused the conversation and solution on the feminist side, and it's the masculine side that's actually got to change.
Yeah, why are guys doing that in the first place? What can we do about it?
How is it, right, and how is it even beyond the terrible human beings of the world who just pull some dumb shit and have their own traumas that get them to that place or whatever, how is it even possible that there can be a situation, for example, on a college campus or whatever else, where there's a bunch of guys who are fucked up and then one of them has sex with a woman who's passed out and then she afterwards decides she doesn't like it even though she was in the situation. That's not her fault. How the fuck is that possible that even went down? That's the real question that no one's talking about. How did none of the friends be holy shit, this lady's passed out. How the fuck is she even in our house? Yeah.
It's a good question. And it's an age-old question because the farther you go back in the history books, you see that that's a big part of human history.
It's not a new conversation, but so the expanding definition of masculinity, I think, also for younger generations, and I mean for older ones too, but for younger generations are really pushing for the necessity of this, especially when we talk about gender fluidity and that whole conversation right now, which is super fascinating. No matter where you land on any of that, super fascinating conversation socially. But I think there's increasing value in sort of a more emotional openness in men, for example, We're seeing that conversation in mainstream media and sports figures, celebrities, etc. Like, what's healthy vulnerability? And this is a cliche thing right now. Like, oh, guys don't cry, or guys got to be tough. Like, actually, I feel like that conversation is too juvenile. We're already past that conversation. The second layer that's not happening publicly yet is, okay, cool. You should understand your emotions. You should be able to be vulnerable. But like, what do you do with that as a man? Because it's not going to look the same as it is. And I'm wildly stereotyping here, as it is for women, maybe, right?
Yeah, interesting. So where do you see that this is happening? Where are you observing this?
This movement?
Yeah.
This redefinition, especially younger age brackets. My son's 14. Like, he talks about things just nonchalant as just fact that I've had to like learn about masculinity.
Work to be able to express. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's not like, of course I'm parenting him and leading as his father, but it's not like I've put some unique specific effort, hyper-focused into indoctrinating some belief system into him. Like, it's just like in the ether and in the larger conversation of the younger age bracket. I saw,
Really
here would be an example of that, right? I saw a video just the other day. I should have saved it, actually. Young guy, very good looking, like extremely good looking, but a little bit of... His name was Josh. I was tricked you. I was looking in the mirror. Yeah. This is one of those people that, like, objectively, this person is a good-looking person. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't argue this. A little bit effeminate, softer features, etc.
Yeah. Dude,
and
that guy's pretty. I've said that before.
Yeah, it's a pretty guy.
Pretty guy.
He was a pretty guy. Right.
Yeah, pretty boy.
That was his look.
Yeah.
And he was spouting off about how he was sitting in a sauna after the gym reading a comic book, and an older man came in and kind of like was razzing him about the fact that he was reading a comic book and that was childish. And he was like, what's with this older generation masculine, like, oh, that's for kids. Like, no one told them, when did you stop reading comic books? Like, when someone told you it wasn't cool anymore, like, do you still like comic books? Yeah, fucking read comic books then. Who gives a shit if you're 40?
Yeah.
You know? And he said, he went on to sort of run his mouth a little bit about, like, I talk like this because he had a certain cadence, and he's like, and I look like this, and I can bench 280.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's masculine anymore? Yeah. So
Yeah.
It was Do
you even lift, bro?
you even lift, bro? Right. Like, he's like, I can do both of those things. I'm both of these things.
Yeah.
And the culminating thought that he had was like, okay, if you're going to make fun of men for not being masculine enough in these sort of traditional ways, for lack of a better describer, the gut check is like, all of your beliefs on what is masculine, which I would call machismo instead, is an indoctrination of other dudes that you followed. Like, you're not defining it for yourself. It's not even real.
It's just what you were born into and what you grew up with and what you were the feedback you got as a young man.
Right.
Yeah.
Conversely, there's a and this is the pendulum, the oscillation of the pendulum. Like, it swings one way, it's going to swing the other way. So in the super modern feminist movement, it swung very far onto one side. And let me be clear, I actually think that's a necessity. That it's like, if things have been so patriarchal and masculine and machismo to a very negative, non-feminist way for a lot of recorded history, it's got to swing way over the other side to start to balance it out. But the truth is, we're all searching for a balanced place in the middle. The point being, the feminist movement and fight has swung far enough now that men are pissed off about it. Men's feelings are hurt. So they're fighting back. That fight back isn't always warranted, necessary, being articulated in a productive
Yeah.
on an individual basis. But I would say that the fact that men are fighting back is a positive indicator, and that's what starts the conversation of redefining masculinity.
That's great. Would you say that you live in a fairly progressive town, Josh?
No. I think I think you ask anyone here and they'd say yes.
Yeah.
And it's the fucking no way, dude.
I would say to the people, a lot of the people that end up down there, the expats anyways, they're fairly progressive. Well, not turn this into a debate, but I just want to share.
No, I mean, it's a define progressive. Like, I think that people talk progressively here, a lot of the expats. But if you're going to bring in the more local Mexican culture as well, there's both very progressive and very conservative.
No, local Mexicans are more conservative. Yeah.
But that plays into how expats are here too. And look, in my adult life, this is the only place since I was fucking 13 years old where you go to a party and then all the women go over on this side and all the men go over on this side. And then there is some interaction across.
Yeah.
But like, that's what happens. It's fucking mind-boggling to me. I just never experienced it ever. Like, it was never like that for me before.
You mean local Mexican events, or you mean even the parties you go to?
Yeah, all parties, especially the expat parties.
Yeah, interesting.
The typical the local parties for sure, but the expat parties here, abso-fucking-lutely. It's like very extreme.
I've noticed that here too, and I actually don't have a problem with it. I went to a New Year's party and the dudes just sort of gathered around the kitchen, started telling surf stories and all this stuff like that, and it was just nice to tap into that masculine energy for me. And then I caught a bunch of the gals like making fun of us out in the living room, like, oh, look at these dudes with their chests puffed out, telling all these, oh, well, the way it was this big stories or whatever. And I'm like, I think to some extent I could see to a certain level where that could become toxic or whatever, but I kind of enjoy that to a degree.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's some organic elements of that. I enjoy it as well. Yesterday I went and played pickup basketball, and there was one woman who came and played,
Yeah.
And why? That's just who plays basketball in town. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Cool.
That's it. But that there is a sense of like that group of guys that goes and plays basketball. Like, there's some camaraderie there. There's some like grittiness and pushing back and forth, but then also laughing, and then like. So I know what you're describing. I enjoy that too. I think what I notice here that's different is it's not that you go to the party and the men are on that side and the women are on that side, and then it's like, then there's an intermingling, and it's really like, that's just how it is because of the conversation difference. It's like people actually treat each other differently that way. I got invited to a birthday once to a woman who's a friend of my wife, like close friend. And this woman, her daughter and my daughter are like good friends. They're a neighbor. She spent countless hours in my house, etc. We got invited to the birthday party, and she asked me to leave the table I was sitting at next to her to sit at the man's table over in the corner. Like, I just fucking left. I was like, okay, peace. And meanwhile, there's like 20 women around this table just like cackling away.
Yeah.
And it's like, why, if you just wanted to have ladies' night birthday, like, why did you invite us, sort of thing?
Have ladies' night, totally.
Right. It was just, it was weird. That's just one specific scenario, but it's weird vibes.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that. Yeah, the reason why I asked where you're seeing this and like what kind of town you're living in is because, like, as a 40-year-old man, like, I don't see in the leader men's group, I see a lot. We have thousands of guys coming in the men's group community that are like want to talk about what it is to be a man and masculinity and stuff. Particularly, they come in talking about a specific issue, like I have porn addiction, or I have nice guy syndrome, or I want to save my relationship. But then what happens is after a while they realize that they need to get clear on what it means to be a man for them. So that's a common conversation. And so I see a lot of guys having that conversation. But I see also in that space a ton of guys playing victim and blaming women and getting all angsty and aggro about women, and so they're like pushing back against the feminist movement in a negative way. And then here locally, you know, I live in a pretty small town. It's got 2,000 people. I'm fortunate because anywhere else in the world with a 2,000 person town would probably not have people like me in it. But because this is Canada's only surf town, it attracts all sorts of like entrepreneurs and, you know, basically like yuppies like me that decided to live more of a rural life. And so there's great people here that are fairly progressive and whatever. But yeah, there's still in the surf community, there's such a healthy helping of like broism. And there's a lot of logging, there's a lot of fishing out here, and so I don't see any of that out here, you know. And so I don't mean to turn this into a debate or to like push back on the positivity you're sharing, because I believe that to be true. In the younger generations on social media, I could see how that's happening, and that's encouraging. But locally for me, in my daily experience, whether it's my work or here, or the activities I do, aside from the few friends I've identified that are a little bit more emotionally intelligent or self-aware, like there's still so much bro-y, like machismo stuff going on, you know? So I think it's like pockets. I think it's just to sort of explain to men that they're not, if they're like, well, I don't see that around me, what Josh is saying. I think it is happening, but I think if you're in middle America, in a small town, if you're in, you know, maybe in Alberta in Canada, that's a little bit more conservative, a little bit more rednecky, it's like maybe you don't see that around you, but it is happening.
Well, right, it is happening, and I think if you're listening to this and you're thinking these things and you're like, I wish it was happening more, like it's because you're the source. Like the prediction here is that there's a new definition in the larger conversation that's going on. It will be hot and cold regionally based off of what's happening there. Right. Like, look, dude, when we talk, I live in Mexico, like if you're in the city, if you're in Guadalajara and you're having this conversation, it looks one way, especially if you're in like, you know, the Andres region or something like that.
Probably looks very fancy.
You go to the rural Mexico, like it is right, like it is fucking way different that way. Like it's
straight up cowboys,
super, yeah. So, but both of them have value in adding to the conversation in masculinity. And I think that's the part that I see happening or starting to happen, depending on how hot it is in the area you're in. But just like, it's no longer acceptable for the conversation of masculinity to not happen. I guess that would be a better articulation of the prediction. Like we have to fucking talk about this. It's starting. But like even for the feminist movement, masculinity must be a conversation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
I think about it from even like a parenting standpoint, you know? The feminine energy raising a son is the most necessary energy up to a certain age, because it creates this strong foundation of like this unconditional, loving, supportive place. Kiss my boo-boo, make me feel better, comfort me. Mm-hmm. And then there's a switch where there has to additionally be this masculine energy. I'm not saying this is necessarily male, female. It's just masculine or feminine energy, where it's like there's got to be some challenge and some grittiness and some like
reality check,
you know, and do the hard work, do the hard thing, create force around you. Like that's also got to be there. So those things collectively create a whole human being. If we're talking about this from like a yoga philosophical perspective, there's always this dualism. They call it the dyad of Shiva and Shakti, which is actually the crux of where like tantric yoga philosophy comes from. Yeah. People have over-sexualized that, but it's the masculine energy, which is described as like pure consciousness, and it's this like unchanging ground of being. It's like a stable, resilient presence is how I've read it be described, versus Shakti, the feminine, is this dynamic, creative force. And you can't have one without the other to have progress. You have to have both, because if you have pure consciousness without creative energy, then you lack direction in either case. So
yeah, it's interesting because my doctor, one of the doctors I saw when I was really sick, he became a mentor, and he talks a lot about this stuff, and he was coming at it from like a childhood dysfunction, trauma perspective. But he put out a post the other day that I thought rang true. He said, it's the father's job, once the nurturing development of the child is done, I guess that's about 8 years old, or I don't know, Josh, you'd have a better age range. But
7, 8,
it's the father's job to like wrestle the child away from the mother and her nurturing, and like start to teach it about the world, start to teach it about the realities of the world, and how to handle those stressors in the world.
Yeah,
and that rang true. And his point was, if a child doesn't get that, then they're going to struggle to handle stressors, and that's why I see a lot of people.
They're going to have to figure it out. It's just going to be a longer path, and maybe more difficult. Right?
Yeah, a lot more tough.
But this is the thing. So, like, we've got a friend, single mom, raising a son. He's 12, and her general, like, she's a great mother. I take nothing away from her at all. The father is in the picture. He's even pretty good dad, but they're split up. So there's like, the kids live with her. So there's not that consistent fatherly figure in the household sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's only recently that you start to see it, like she is fulfilling this motherly role, and her son is like pushing back in the boy way of things. Mm-hmm. And she's expressed difficulty knowing what to do with that. Mm. And as a father myself, I don't step into their business or anything, but I'm like, yeah, this is the case where, like, actually what you need to do is put your foot down and be like, come on, bro. Hey, like,
yeah, this is the world. This is how he
doesn't need mommy right now. He needs like a masculine push a little bit in an empowering way. Mm-hmm. Deal with your shit.
Yeah.
So
there's no way around this. You got to deal with it, kind of thing. Yeah.
I think this is. Mm-hmm. I put this top of the list because I feel like a redefinition of this and what it looks like, I think that it's going to escape some of these stereotypes that are really quite stupid, and are clearly cultural as well. Like, a man kissing a man is not machismo in one culture, and then in another culture it's a normal thing, no big deal.
Yeah.
Or like two guys hugging. Like, these are the things that I think will dissolve, and they're going to become more just a personal thing. Like, are you a dude who hugs and have another friend who hugs? Like, fucking hug each other. Who gives a shit? Sean always tries to jam his tongue down my throat every time I see him. Just that weird open mouth.
Excited, man. That goatee. I don't know. Something about the goatee and the hat. I don't know. Man bun. I have a friend who's speaking of that. I have a friend who's he kind of snuck up on me, honestly, as a friend. I like that. He lives close to me, and I met him in the surf, and he's a real surf bro. And he like fixes cars, and he like grew up playing hockey, played a very high level junior hockey, so we're broing down. And then he introduced me to his partner Bob, and I was like, that's fucking awesome that a guy that is that traditionally masculine is gay and feels good about it, and I love that, and I'm happy to live in a place where that's cool. But still,
it sounds like
it's not. So it just depends on the pocket, the bubble you're in, eh?
Right. Well, it sounds like too he didn't present himself like. This is the reason this stuff matters. Is that if you're in an area where masculinity and sexuality are not the same thing, then that's possible, and you become friends with this person because they're friendly with you, and because you guys get along and have common interest, as opposed to like
what he does with his dick.
right. And look, man, all dudes do weird shit with their dick. Okay, don't fucking even try to be judgmental. You're an asshole. But it's not like he came up to you to be like, "Hey, real quick, I'm gay. Do you want to be friends?" Like that. That creates this barrier. The point being, the redefinition and this conversation and growth in masculinity allows for that situation to unfold more organically and naturally as it should. Here's how I'd sum it up. This just came to me. I would sum this up as like the shift towards, like, the shift away from man up and the shift towards grow up.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to start to experience.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see how that will have its benefits, because it instead of like man up, which just kind of makes you feel more insecure, it's learn to accept yourself and be proud of who you are as a man, and then, you know, the details don't matter as much. In the case of that friend, for example, he clearly feels comfortable in who he is, and, you know, doesn't feel that uncomfortable. It didn't with me anyways, that like that was his, you know, relationship, and great. Seems to be really working for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do a whole other episode on this sort of stuff. But the whole, like, one thing that is parallel to this that I'm seeing when you look at like comedy now, with Shane Gillis would be a good example of someone who's like pushing this direction.
Yeah.
There are terms and stuff that were quite inappropriate in the past that are like making a resurgence into comedy, such as calling something gay.
Oh yeah.
Right? But it's very nuanced how
So
it's
nuanced.
getting used by comedians that are good. Comedians that are good, let me be clear, because there's lots of shit comedians that use things in a dumb way. But like they've managed to start to take back and create a complete disconnection from saying something's gay as being derogatory towards someone who's gay versus it being comical. Like, that's starting to happen. I don't even comment on whether that's good or bad or whatever, but it's interesting. Like, we're starting to see that again.
I think it's great, because I'm a big fan of comedy and free speech, and whoever is like, you got to understand the subject of the joke. And in that case, what Shane Gillis is doing is it's satire. Like, Shane's a really intelligent person. He's not actually judgy of gay people whatsoever, and he's doing it to make fun of those machismo, masculine, hyper masculine, old school dudes that are like that. And so he's playing a role, you know, to sort of highlight how dumb that is. And so I love it.
Yeah.
But, you know, people got touchy about that, especially during the last 4 to 8 years of wokedom and the woke mind virus in North America. And they're like, as soon as you say the word, it means you're a bigot or you're anti that thing. When in reality, they're saying that word to make fun of people who are actually like that, because there are actually people like that. And that needs to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed that too. As soon as Trump came into power, I noticed them start saying gay and all sorts of stuff like that again. All the comedians started going for it. I was like, times have changed.
Well, I think this is a whole other episode, is talking about cancel culture and wokedom and etc. But it's why this is on my predictions list. I think that the redefinition of masculinity and the movement in that direction is in part happening as part of a backlash to the wokedom and to like it going that far and being so extreme, where it's like, well, now things are totally off the table to talk about anything openly because we might risk offending someone. Yeah. The masculine energy fights against that a little bit. So and even these, you know, the other thought that just came to mind is like, this needs to be redefined because we've created new language to describe something that's dumb. It's like we've created the new version of machismo. The example being, my daughter started saying sigma the other day. Like, now it's really not cool to be alpha. It's really cool to be sigma. And you're made fun of as a negative narrative if you're beta.
What's sigma? I think all listeners know what beta is. Means you're a bitch.
Right. Or like that's the suggestion.
Yeah. You know? And alpha is like, you know, chest out, making lots of noise, owning the room. What's sigma?
Sigma is like the quiet wolf.
The lone wolf.
You know, they're like
takes care of
the
himself.
lone wolf, confident, take care of yourself.
Quietly go about your business.
If you corner me, I'll fucking kill you, but also I can nurture you. Like, it's like, yeah,
the balance.
That word is coming out as part of, you know, the new definition of masculinity in my mind.
You know what? When I came across that and some of the research I did around men's group around some of this stuff, because there's always wild like sub niches and like red pill and all sorts of weird stuff going on. I never know what any of this means, so I have to go look, just so I can stay relevant in this market. And like the Sigma thing came up, and I was like, you know what? Like, I didn't love the like how every video uses the same tone of voice. The Sigma male doesn't care about anybody. You know, he takes care of himself. Like it was very I don't know, like macho in the way that it's portrayed. But those values of just like focusing on your own stuff, focusing on your own life and what you care about, being there for people, but also having boundaries. I was like, that actually sounds fairly healthy. Like the whole Sigma idea. That's cool.
That's being masculine, like in a positive way. I want to. This is a good lead into the second prediction, but it's very related to this conversation. But I want to bring this into the table too. One time, some years ago, we were having a conversation, and I was looking up. Maybe you and I even talked about this. Like, what is, and this is why this conversation matters so much. We'll talk about fatherhood in a little bit too. But like, what's the positive role model for masculinity culturally in Western culture? Army guys? Joe Rogan? Homer Simpson? Homer Simpson? Or like
probably Joe Rogan. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Gary Vee? Like, I don't know. It's
Jordan
interesting.
Peterson. Yeah. I would have said Jordan Peterson back in the day, but he's gone a little villainy, like off the rails in his appearance and how he talks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but the point, like, and then take it out of real person life and like think about pop culture and Hollywood, you know, like what's the masculine image that we're giving to kids, especially, and what's a really positive masculine image? So the long-winded way of getting to the point that like this is not that modern, but the most powerful, balanced masculine image that I could possibly come up with after reading about it is the husband in the Addams Family.
Yeah, you brought this up before, and I like.
Yeah, what's his? Fuck, I always forget his name.
Ansel Adams. I think.
No, shit. I'm gonna have to look it up
last
again.
time. We didn't.
I have to Google it last time. Right, like someone who he loves his brother. He is infatuated and loves his wife and supports her endlessly in everything. Great father to his kids. Can also Gomez.
Adams? Yeah, Gomez.
Gomez Adams. Can also fucking sword fight.
Looks sharp.
Well kept, put together, you know?
Yeah.
What's more, like, he's simultaneously exuding strength and intelligence and vulnerability and father, like, and all these things. What better example is there than that?
I don't know if there is one.
Right.
Yeah,
so
there are many.
That's the point. It's like why there needs to be this discussion, because that image isn't being shown. Instead, we're romanticizing the image of the, like, the cowboy who's like got this internal conflict stuff that they can't share out there, but they're rough and tumble, and really when it comes to it, they'll do what it takes. Or the like
oaf. The heel,
the oaf,
joke,
or the oaf,
couch potato, barfly,
yeah.
And there's other archetypes that spin off that.
Yeah.
This is encouraging. I'm happy you brought this up, Josh, because I feel that masculinity is something that a lot of guys are confused about due to these different tides of movements and how extreme some of the movements got against men, and so I think guys in the men's group community are really going to appreciate this conversation, and it helped me out because I don't really think about. It sounds funny being the men's group guy, but I don't really think about the term masculinity that much. I just have a deep voice, and I like to hit stuff in sports, and I like to dig out in my yard, but like, and but I don't really think about that much. But this gives me a good sort of direction to express myself around and moving forward. So thank you.
Yeah, it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
For me personally, and anyone can take this for what it's worth. For me personally, I'm trying to shift all focus away from girl or boy for masculine and femininity and into energetic duality. There's a feminine energy and there's a masculine energy. That's where I want to contemplate the whole thing.
Can you explain that quickly for the guys listening?
Who gives a shit if you're biologically a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
We both have masculine and feminine energy within us. So whoever you are, like, think about what masculinity and what masculine energy is to you and how that's useful and empowering for your life. And if you are naturally more masculine energy, cool, like, that's fine. Or if it's more feminine energy, like, it's a spectrum, and there's no right place to be.
Can you give some examples of how masculine energy plays out versus feminine, like how that might appear?
Well, if masculine energy is, going back to the, like, yoga thought on it, is this, like, still grounded, powerful place of consciousness and, like, trying to firm things up, right? Is trying to create a homeostasis, a rigidity, whereas femininity is this creative, flowing, nurturing place. Like, those are both very valuable, but they're only valuable with each other.
Yep. Yeah, I've even seen that in sports. Like, me growing up playing hockey and you growing up playing hockey, there were moments where I'd have to be setting a boundary with a guy, like getting up in his face because he hit my friend or whatever, or I thought he did something that was against the rules or taking advantage of something, But then there's these wild creative moments or supportive moments on the bench where I'm accessing more of that nurturing, creative, supportive side,
Yeah.
And that's within a masculine activity, but even there you see shades of both,
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't escape either. They're both just part of reality. Redefining fatherhood and family roles. I think this is an automatic.
Yeah.
If the first two start to be a conversation, this automatically becomes part of the conversation. I'm a father, so my age bracket and friends that I know that have kids, like, we discuss this stuff more and more. The conversation we're not having is the idea of, like, the breadwinner sort of thing. And I think that we're also at a societal moment where the nature of work, the nature of production, earning money, whatever, like, that looks different. It's changed now.
Yeah, it has.
So, which is cool. So I just think there'll be a redefinition of that. And going back to the data and the mental health part, like, there's some pretty interesting data around men who are incarcerated and whether or not they had a father in the home.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, like, the importance of fatherhood, I think, is because there has been a message in the feminist movement of, like, you don't need a man sort of thing.
Yeah.
And from a family standpoint, that's not true in my opinion. Like, that's not what the data suggests. Fatherhood, that masculine, energetic fathering role, I think, is the value point, not whether they're biologically a male or female necessarily.
Yeah.
But the interesting, deeper cut on those data points, one thing I was reading was saying, like, it's not even that the father was, like, a good father or did something specifically or had a belief system a certain way. Literally just the presence of the father in the home. That's it. That's the only criteria for reducing the likelihood of becoming a gang member, going to jail, or ending up on drugs by the time you're 25 by, like, whatever, 80%.
Yeah.
Like, massively lowers it. What I took from it is, like, to really understand this stuff, you have to first look at the equation in a colorblind way. You can't look at African American versus white versus Asian. You have to just look at father in the home, yes or no, and then you can map that over top of those places. And that's just, it's not a comment on race at all.
No, it's not. No,
it's a comment on, like, here's the data that's suggesting this, like, and now culturally take this for what it is. The family unit and the family value system has been diminishing in a lot of ways in Western culture and has been under fire for a long time. And so I think fatherhood being redefined and what the archetypical family role of fatherhood is and how that looks, and like, do you have to be the breadwinner or not, blah blah blah. Like, it's time for that conversation, but what comes with that conversation is the importance of it.
Yeah.
And also it can be maybe a slight bit alleviating to fathers out there. For myself, it's not a totally alleviating from the stressors of my life as a father, but it does put my mind at ease slightly to be like, one of the most valuable things that I can do for my children is literally just fucking be here. I don't mean like just the fact that I stay married to my wife or whatever. I mean like actually just be present physically and psychologically and emotionally, just be present. The details, did I do a good job at this, that, or the other thing? Sure, like I should optimize those too, but to begin with, those matter less. Like just fucking presence. That's it.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely. Yeah, it's just that masculine presence, that energy.
I think I'm hopeful that we'll see more and more of this conversation towards it then like changing policy as well, The idea of maternity leave being just like parental leave in general, or there being maternity leave and paternity leave, for example, or, fathers who are more hands-on father. The thing that people don't talk about in fatherhood is like, if you're a mother and you're like, hey, I couldn't, and this is not always true, of course. You're a mother, you have a job, and you're like, I got to take the kids to do this thing. You go to the dentist on Thursday. There is some level of societal acceptance to that. And it's not even a conversation on the man side of it.
That's true. That's interesting. Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that's not, what's funny is that's not even a man-woman thing. Katie's run in the same situation in one of her workplaces where there's a mom who's perpetually late and she's excused. And then if any of the single gals who don't have kids are late, it's like they get in trouble. So there's a parent-specific thing as well.
Yep.
But yeah, there is. I don't know if I want to go as far as saying inequalities in the systems for men, but it's true.
Yeah, inequalities in terms of like actual negative impact or whatever. I don't know about that, if I take it that far yet, although I'm sure there's examples of it. But the fact that it's like not a conversation, right? It is treating people differently, being a father or a mother. Yeah. It is putting expectations on it differently instead of just having a conversation about being a parent.
Totally.
Yeah,
I agree.
I've got a son and I've got 2 daughters. They're at and arriving at puberty age. A big discussion my wife and I have had recently is like, why would we approach this as, well, because he's a boy, I'm going to talk about puberty with him, and because she's a girl, you're going to talk about puberty with her.
Yeah.
I made a
partly because there's specific things that happen for the other sex that you may not understand 100%.
True.
Which is fair.
True.
I don't know all the detailed workings of my partner's genitalia.
No, and just exactly. And well, I made a bad joke to Jenna. I was like, I don't know how it works, but I've seen more vaginas than you. Yeah. Totally. But as far as the cycles and what happens when, I still don't understand. So, I still don't understand. Well, but as a father, right. But right now you also don't have a necessity to understand. What came up for us was 2 parts. One, if I don't understand, why the fuck not? I should understand. So now I'm learning anything I don't understand, just the same. And 2, I want my daughter to know that I'm a safe person for that discussion or those problems should they arise, and it's necessary to lean on me for that. That's great. That's not a mummy only thing.
That's a great point.
Now, that might be most comfortable. That's the person who understands it through firsthand experience that I never will have. That's all true. And I'm not oblivious. I do know some level of what the fuck's going on. Your mom's going to tell me anyways. And if I need to be of support, it's not embarrassing. It's not a problem. I'm not going to act weird. I'm safe. This can happen. And vice versa for my wife with our son,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also because that makes sense because there's a necessity there. like Katie and I got into this funny conversation a little while ago about she felt unsupported because I haven't asked about her cycles and fluids and stuff that she experiences in different times of the cycles. And, it was kind of like a joking conversation, but I said, because there's no necessity for me to know that right now. Like, if you need to feel supported in it, I'm happy to learn that stuff, but like, I don't foresee you having that conversation with me. So why would I need to research that? But I could see how, if I had a daughter, how that would become very important.
Right.
That might sound ignorant, but I believe that to be true. That creates that necessity where, because some people like to research everything, but I don't have capacity for that. I only need to.
No, I think it is something that comes up out of necessity, but hence the like redefining fatherhood and family roles.
Yeah.
This goes all the way down to the like, our dishwasher broke right now. Mm-hmm. So like every day the kids see me doing the dishes. Mm-hmm. There's no masculine or femininity when it comes to fucking cleaning the dishes. Are there dirty dishes that got to get cleaned? Yes or no? That's it. That's the end of the conversation, Whereas over Christmas we were having the discussion with Jenna's mom about her dad, Jenna's grandpa, and how he was a judge, and he was like that quintessential man. Like, went to work, made all the money for the family. There was eight kids, and managed all the money, made all the money, and was a judge, and came home and drank scotch and smoked a cigar. Never fucking talked about nothing, never did nothing, never cleaned a dish, never made a fucking sandwich in his life.
Yeah.
And she wasn't saying any of that. We weren't talking about it as a negative thing, but it was just interesting that like it's one or two layers of generation away where that was not just normal, but actually expected.
Yeah.
And like, that's just not, so it's still that close, but like, that's just not real. That's not how reality is anymore.
Yeah, it is a little.
And not that it couldn't be if you make a conscious decision for that, but just like to say that it has to be any one way that's the shift.
Yeah, that's really interesting because naturally there's going to be ebbs and flows to people's schedules and demands. And if Katie's really slammed in work and needs to take on some extra stuff, of course I'm going to help her out with the dishes. But you're right, like my dad didn't chip in those ways that much at all either.
Nope.
Zero for a lot of guys. Yeah.
We've never seen it.
There's like a clear line in the sand. Do you think that's because of the negative connotations with being feminine for men? They're like, nope, that's women's work. You heard that back in the day. That's women's work. Yeah.
I think there are some guys that believe that and have leaned into that. Mm-hmm. I think nowadays, this is part of the shift in all of this, right? Like nowadays, what has changed, hopefully has changed and is changing is the realization that like we have shared responsibilities and I should help where I can help. So then if there are dishes to be done and I'm just going to not do the dishes and let you do them as my wife, it might not be because I believe that's a woman's job. It might just be because I'm actually taking advantage of the situation that I know that you will. Yeah. And that has nothing to do with masculine or feminine. And that has everything to do with like being a team player.
Yeah, totally.
Sort of thing.
Versus being selfish.
Right.
Yeah.
So
on the flip side, I don't see Katie picking up many shovels around the house. So there are tasks that are like my build lends myself and my interests and my past experience lend myself to be better at building stuff, hitting stuff, and I don't mind doing those things by myself. And Katie tends to enjoy doing more of the housework, but like she would jump outside if I really needed her, and I jump in to do dishes and whatever I can.
I think that's the difference. This redefining fatherhood and family roles as a man, it's like, I think that it shows a shift in ability and willingness to do what the family unit requires. Just going back to the same thing, talking about my daughter, like my wife is going to be the leader in that conversation and likely the person that she goes to for that conversation, et cetera, et cetera. But I shouldn't just be completely not part of it at all. Like that same thing. You're right. When we're building something here, or I dug a hole for a drain in our yard or whatever, Jenna did not fucking pick up a shovel. Like they're right. And if I had been like, look, lady, I need you to pick up the shovel and dig, she probably would have even griped about it. But in the meantime, as I'm digging out there, she's taking care of all 3 of the kids and making lunch. And like that wasn't because right. And I didn't ask for any of that.
No.
It's just that's how it calibrated. So there's like a mutual respect and understanding for the situation that happens like that. That I think is okay.
Yeah.
Or she's been going to, meetings. So one of the meetings is away in the next town. So like on that night, she doesn't ask me. She's like, oh, I've got a meeting. She doesn't prep cook for us. And she doesn't say, like, can you handle dinner tonight or picking up the kids? I just fucking do it because that's what has to happen,
Yeah.
And I don't need some big pat on the back like, oh, my God, thank you. So I can't believe you made dinner on Thursday. Like, no, someone had to fucking make dinner. What are we talking about,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that redefinition because it seems more productive and efficient and fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Great. Okay. Well, I hope that to be true in 2025. And I guess here we are talking about it, so we're part of the solution.
You heard it here first. Street cred.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Sean and Josh know what's going on.
They're rambling about masculinity over here.